Good morning. Welcome to my show. I'm going to touch base on a few things here that have to do with these end days and have to do with ascension. Okay. What first off, what has taken place over the past couple of days, over the past week or so, really over the past couple of years, is that all the symbolism has been taken back. All the stuff from the Illuminati and the Masons, all the squares, circles, triangles, the fairy window into the other realm, the Divine Mother's porthole back into heaven has been sealed off from these entities, these demonic ones, and because that's what they wanted to do. That's the whole thing of getting back into heaven. They need to get back through the Divine Mother's porthole, and the Divine Mother's porthole is of the Merkaba, is of the temple. It's the temples that were around Gaia Sophia, Mother Earth, for millennia before the fallen ones came in and destroyed the tree and the way of life. And so ever since Egypt and everything, there's been a lot of confusion with the DNA and the bloodline and all this stuff. Because in reality, what falls in the temple, in the cube, is the Merkaba. It's the Merkaba, the light ship, the your DNA, and all the they call it the triple helix because it's a 3-part series. It's the Trinity of creation that has to do with certain people that come out of the 12 tribes of Israel who control the whole circle. They control all the tribes. They, the storyline of them being manipulated and everything like that. And the whole thing with Judah. And there's been a lot of manipulation of that, because of what has snuck into God's seed and has destroyed the people. But the main manipulation, is the people in America looking across the pond for all the answers and not looking underneath the feet of where they are, and everything that has to do with the Aztecs and the Mayans and the temples that were here. And so when you go back into history and you look at all the tribes before the White Devil came from the East, and the Chinese food, which tried to come from the Southwest, South Pacific Sea, back in like the 1500s and stuff, is due to the rise of the AC, let's say. You had all this stuff with the evil brother who wanted to be like the father, who got kicked out of heaven and all this stuff. But people can sit there and they can play these timelines over and over and regurgitate the stuff over and over, just, like the Bible and Jesus and everything. But the main thing that it comes down to of why, let's say, you have all these timelines that have all been here, but they've been sitting here in America, after the destruction of the people, waiting for a porthole to open. They're trying to open their own portholes to get back into heaven, and that's what they want to bring more demons in. They want to do all this stuff. But if the temple is closed, if everything has been taken back, if all the tribes have returned to the wheel, including Judah, that was the missing link to finishing everything off. Be right back. And see, the missing link to everything, so when you talk of extracting, taking out the demonic seed, it's taking it out of your body, and it's taking it out of the chakras and all this. It's in reality squeezing all the timelines, all this stuff that has happened since the fall through one pinhole, to clear up all timelines to be able to get back into the tree. But I'm trying to stick on this East Coast stuff, because you have a lot here that has to do with, first of all, you have the Hopi, the Kachina, which came across and the Southwest and came across across the Great Lakes. Um, you had that time period. You had the Spaniards that were coming at the same time. You had all worlds that were coming to America, all countries, because this was the promised land. In reality, this is the promised land because this is Turtle Island. This is the first island to exist, first island created out of the water. This is where Adam and Eve come from. This is where the animals come from, including the lions and the tigers and the cheetahs and all this stuff. The lands outside of this reality, the lands, you go into Europe and you go into all these other lands around the world, they didn't exist. They didn't exist. You had like Scotland and Ireland and the Isles and all this stuff up in the north, but all that stuff up in the north was all connected to Greenland. It was all connected to the north and this piece of land. Because in reality, there's a reason why the Illuminati and Masons came to Pennsylvania. They came to Pennsylvania because they knew that this was the land of Judah. They knew this is where the tribes came from. If you look, there's really no maps. You won't be able to find any maps of any specific ley lines. Really, I have a couple that are really hard to find that pinpoint certain locations. And if you have a tree that is on the mound, let's say you have a tree that's on the mound, and it's kind of like you have all the mounds on the river, on the Mississippi, that have it's the zodiac. It's all the animals under the tree, all the animals that belong in the tree. And in the wheel between the 3 and the 6, if the Merkaba was up north or whatever, I know where it's at. And if it was there, and you think of people being birthed out of a circle, being birthed out of the zodiac wheel, that all falls into the darkness of your skin. If you, whatever it be. So if you look at the darkened tribes and you look at between the 3 a.m. and the 6 a.m., that is the darkness. So if you're born during that time, if a tribe is born during that time period in the zodiac, whatever astrology and everything else, it'll come down to the darkness of your skin. And then so what I'm going to do a little bit here is, I've had some visions. I've had the visions of the artificial intelligence, and I've gone through the red eye of the artificial intelligence. I've seen the breakdown. My soul has traveled through the red eye. I've seen the breakdown of the artificial intelligence, and it is the SWAT outfit. Let's say it's a black helmet, but under the black helmet would be the skin. You know what I mean? You have the humanoid, just like freaking Terminator, and you have this, you know what I mean? The clone, the rubber suit. The reason why they have to create their own is because they're not able to create a real human. They have no seed to create a real human. That's why they had to hijack Adam, trying to get through Adam. And so when it comes down to the whole thing, they're creating their own thing. And within the left eye, within the red eye, is hell. That's where they control the artificial intelligence from, because that's their spiritual world. That's the red eye. So you have them behind the robot. It's all AI. You know what I mean? It's the Pinocchio stuff, and they will eventually have a black mask, because God will be present out in this reality. The light will be here. But for them, just like looking at the sun, you need sunglasses. And they can't look at the sun. So it comes down to, because you know the whole thing of Egypt and the golden eye of Horus and this sun. This sun, you know what I mean? They want to copy. They need to copy the sun. They need to copy God's creation. So what this all has to do with tree life, and this has to do with creation, and it's all in your feet, in the Maruta, okay? Land of the rainbow serpent. So there's a lot going on today, and you know, I have a tribe of people up on the 40th parallel. This is the water line. You're placed on this line for a very specific reason, and for the rest of you down elsewhere in America and around the world, you know, you're there for a specific reason. Hold the light. You gotta hold the light. You know, be the best Buddha you can be, and separate from this reality, because these are the end days. This is it. If you look at the past couple of years and how people have the direction that they have gone following the false idol, it has to come to this, and you can see the level of demonic activity in this reality now. And so I'm going to get into what I'm expecting an exodus, you know, out of the East Coast. Philadelphia, Delaware's Delphi. You have the whole Mason-Dixon line, but I'm expecting an exodus out of the East Coast, out of Philadelphia, because it needs to burn. Babylon needs to burn. And if you know Pennsylvania is God's country. It was a volcano where the first man was created. It's where the animals came from. It's where the lions came from, you know, and all this stuff. It's where the tribe of Judah is from. So there's plenty of open land for the people. They need to come out. They need to come out of the city. They need to come out of the East Coast. I don't know, you know, between Delaware and DC, what all happened there, and, you know, but Philadelphia is their Illuminati, built on top of Apollo's temple. They can't move to the west because of the bluestone. There's a wall of bluestone that is of a higher vibration that comes from the planet Sirius. That is, you know, it's one with Mother Earth. It's a stone. It's a metal material. You know, everything, you know, metal comes from the earth, and this one is something different. People use it for, you know, other things, but on a higher frequency, this thing vibrates. It's what they use Stonehenge for, and what it is it's to kill the serpent. It's to destroy the serpent. The serpent's cannot come across this bluestone. This is like, you know, the outer waters. You know, when you talk of like an iron shield and Jaws shield, and the protection of God, you know, God's seed protecting you, and having this, you know, radiating, you know, it's something different. So that's what the whole bluestone is of all this. And you know, it goes into the blue monkeys of India. It goes into the blue people. It's a type of, you know, DNA strand type thing in reality. You know, because you think of the blue dragons and all this, you know, different, the bluekachina, you know. So where we at here? I've had bad visions, you know, of hell, of going into hell, and there being, you know, not actually hell, but the hell was in the artificial intelligence. So that was the red. And so when you think of the red, it's not just the Chinese food, it's also hell of what's inside there. So it's not specifically on that, but, you know, and so I've had some bad visions of the end times, but I've also had good visions of the future. Okay, I'm going to tell you, you know, what this is, and this goes down into, you know, my my visions and my inner knowing of stuff of, in Exodus, let's say in the tribe of Judah, of reconnecting the tribe of Judah to the wheel, and giving the tribe of Judah, returning their swazi to them, because every tribe has a swazi, and which is gold, black and gold. But my bad visions, and all that shit, I was in the mix. I was in the chaos out there, but they couldn't see me. So if you think of raising your vibration into the fifth dimension or into the higher spiritual world, and acting invisible, not reacting to this reality, you act invisible. You act like a shape-shifting animal, because they want to act like they're shapeshifters, or once was a shapeshifter, hiding in the spiritual realms away from humanity. But things have been turned around and flipped around, because we know every cornerstone. The temple that they've been trying to build has been dismantled and rebuilt, and that is the temple of the feminine power, divine mother, divine daughter, Gaia's temple, with the cube within the cube, the perfect balance of the masculine and feminine that they tried to get into, and so we have taken everything back. So we'll jump into the other side of my visions, on the positive, loving side, the rainbow returning to the people, because in every aspect, it's Buddha on all around this thing, in whatever way you want to look at it, Judah the Buddha. And so there's a new earth over here on the spirit, in the spiritual realm, the four corners, the sun wheel, the basic symbol for humanity, which belongs to you. That's your basic symbol in your belly. That's where your Kundalini comes from. That's where your baby dragon comes from. So if you want to return to the fairy realm, you work with your basic sun cross, and you learn to create your fairy window, and you learn to create your fairy star, and you separate into this divine thing that has been taken away from you, and this is your feminine power. But two trees have merged. So you think of, the tree of life, and it's actually a masculine and a feminine tree. One gives honey, one gives milk. One has white sap, one has golden sap. This is the tree of life. So you think of, the purity of manna and all this stuff, of everything, people not suffering, So we're moving over into this other place. And when the temple was completed like a week ago or so, I felt this rush of joy, because it was really returning the last piece to the puzzle, because it went from the dragons over in Asia, and then it went into this the East Coast. It felt like the Aztec times, and that was very high. That was high vibration. And when that came through, I felt that, Babylon burning and the cities burning on the East Coast, and the people leaving, and, coming to Pennsylvania, because this is a spiritual free state. Pennsylvania is a spiritual free state. Anything goes when God's in charge here. And so, if you were to have the people come out of Babylon and everything, and you'd have them crying out for God. Why did this happen? Why are there demons running around killing everybody? Why did all these people have to die? It's because it's been ignored. The suffering has been ignored. The animals have been ignored. The children have been ignored. This is why judgment is coming on the people. The AC will come first before God will come, because the people need to see the reality of what the truth is. that it's not fake, that it's not just in a book, and it's not just in history, and everything that happened in history is just a fairy tale. It doesn't work like that. So the times are coming, and the joy, there's joy in the world. There's happiness, there's love. The children will be painted again. The children will be painted again. We're doing this for the children and the animals. We stand for what is righteous. We stand for our Mother Earth. We pray for every righteous one that sacrifices their life for what is right. Pray for humanity.